Hi, everybody, and welcome back to our Percy Jackson Read Aloud. I am ready to pick right back up where we left off, where the Furies had just attacked Percy and Annabeth and Grover on the bus. Let's get started. We visit the Garden Gnome Emporium. That is our title for Chapter 11. In a way, it's nice to know there are Greek gods out there, because you have somebody to blame when things go wrong. For instance, when you're walking away from a bus that's just been attacked by monster hags and blown up by lightning, and it's raining on top of everything else, most people might think it's just really bad luck. When you're a half-blood, you understand that some divine force really is trying to mess up your day. So there we were, Annabeth, Grover, and I, walking through the woods along the New Jersey riverbank. The glow of New York City making the night yellow behind us. The smell of the Hudson reeking in our noses. Grover was shivering and braying, his big goat eyes turned slip purple, pupilled, and full of terror. The three kindly ones, all three at once. I was pretty much in shock myself. The explosion of the bus window still rang in my ears. But Annabeth kept pulling us along, saying, "Come on! The farther away we get, the better." "All of our money is back there," I reminded her. "Our food, clothes, everything." "Well, maybe if you hadn't decided to jump into the fight." "What'd you want me to do, let you get killed?" "You didn't need to protect me, Percy. I would have been fine." "Sliced like sandwich bread," Grover put in, "but fine." "Shut up, goat boy," said Annabeth. Grover brayed mournfully. 10 cans, a perfectly good bag of 10 cans. We sloshed across the mushy ground, through nasty twisted trees that smelled like sour laundry. After a few minutes, Annabeth fell into line next to me. "Look, her voice faltered. "I appreciate your coming back for us, okay? That was really brave. We're a team, right?" She was silent for a few more steps. "It's just that if you died, aside from the fact that it would really suck for you, it would mean the quest is over. This may be my only chance to see the real world." The thunderstorm had finally let up. The city glow faded behind us, leaving us in almost total darkness. I couldn't see anything of Annabeth, except a glint of her blonde hair. "You haven't left Camp Half-Blood since you were 7? I asked her. "No, only short field trips. My dad, the history professor. Yeah, it didn't work out for me living at home. I mean, Camp Half-Blood is my home." She rushed her words out now as if she was afraid somebody might try to stop her. "And at camp you train, and that's all cool and everything. But the real world is where the monsters are. That's where you learn whether or not you're any good." If I didn't know better, I could have sworn I heard doubt in her voice. "You're pretty good with that knife," I said. "You think so?" "Anybody who can piggyback ride a Fury is okay by me." I couldn't really see, but I thought she might have smiled. "You know," she said, "maybe I should tell you something funny back on the bus." Whatever she wanted to say was interrupted by a shrill toot-toot, the sound of an owl being tortured. "Hey, my reed pipes still work," Grover cried. "If I could just remember the Find a Path song, we could get out of these woods." He puffed out a few notes, but the tune still sounded suspiciously like Hilary Duff. Instead of finding a path, I immediately slammed into a tree and got a nice-sized knot on my head. Added to the list of superpowers I did not have: infrared vision. After tripping and cursing and generally feeling miserable for another mile or so, I started to see light up ahead, the colors of a green neon sign. I could smell food, fried, greasy, excellent food. I realized I hadn't eaten anything unhealthy since I had arrived at Camp Half-Blood, where we lived on grapes, bread, cheese, and extra lean nymph-cut barbecue. This boy needed a double cheeseburger. We kept walking until I saw a deserted 2-lane road through the trees. On the other side was a closed-down gas station, a tattered billboard for a 1990s movie, and one open business, which was the source of the neon light and the good smell. It wasn't a fast food restaurant like I had hoped. It was one of those weird roadside curio shops that sell lawn flamingos and wooden Indians and cement grizzly bears and stuff like that. The main building was a long, low warehouse surrounded by acres of statuary. The neon sign above the gate was impossible for me to read, because if there's anything worse than my dyslexia than regular English, It's red cursive neon, regular English. To me it looked like Aunty M Gomen Vaporium. What the heck does that say? I asked. I don't know, Annabeth said. She loved reading so much, I figured she was dyslexic, too. Grover translated, Aunty M's Garden Gnome Emporium. Flanking the entrance, as advertised, were 2 cement garden gnomes, ugly, bearded little runts, smiling and waving as if they were about to get their picture taken. I crossed the street, following the smell of hamburgers. Hey, Grover warned. The lights are on inside, Annabeth said. Maybe it's open. Snack bar, I said wistfully. Snack bar, she agreed. Are you two crazy? Grover said. This place is weird. We ignored him. The front lot was a forest of statues, cement animals, cement children, even a cement satyr playing the pipes, which gave Grover the creeps. Wah! He bleated. Looks like my Uncle Ferdinand. We stopped at the warehouse door. Don't knock, Grover said. I smell monsters. Your nose is clogged up from the Furies, Annabeth told him. All I smell is burgers. Aren't you hungry? Meat, he said scornfully. I'm a vegetarian. You can eat cheese enchiladas in aluminum cans, I reminded him. Those are vegetables. Come on, let's leave. Those statues are looking at me. Then the door creaked open, and standing in front of us was a tall Middle Eastern woman. At least I assumed she was Middle Eastern, because she wore a long black gown that covered everything but her hands, and her head was completely veiled. Her eyes glinted behind a curtain of black gauze, but that was about all I could make out. Her coffee-colored hands looked old but well manicured and elegant, so I imagined she was a grandmother who had once been a beautiful lady. Her accent sounded vaguely Middle Eastern, too. She said, Children, it is too late to be out all alone. Where are your parents? They're, Annabeth started to say. We're orphans, I said. Orphans? The woman said. The word sounded alien in her mouth. But my dear, surely not. We got separated from our caravan, I said. Our circus caravan. The ringmaster told us to meet him at the gas station if we got lost. But he may have forgotten. Or maybe he meant a different gas station. Anyway, we're lost. Is that food I smell? Oh, my dears, the woman said. You must come in. Poor children. I am Aunty M. Go straight to the back of the warehouse, please. There is a dining area. We thanked her and went inside. Annabeth muttered to me, Circus caravan? Always have a strategy, right? Your head is full of kelp. The warehouse was filled with more statues, people in all different poses, wearing all different outfits with different expressions on their faces. I was thinking you'd have to have a pretty huge garden to even fit one of these statues, because they were all life-size. But mostly, I was thinking about food. Go ahead and call me an idiot for walking into a strange lady's shop like that just because I was hungry, but I do impulsive stuff sometimes. Plus, you've never smelled Aunty M's burgers. The aroma was like laughing gas in the dentist chair. It made everything else go away. I barely seemed to notice Grover's nervous whimpers, or the way the statue's eyes seemed to follow me, or the fact that Aunty M had locked the door behind us. All I cared about was finding the dining area. And sure enough, there it was at the back of the warehouse. A fast food counter with a grill, a soda fountain, and a pretzel heater, and a nacho cheese dispenser. Everything you could want, plus a few steel picnic tables out front. Please sit down, Aunty M said. Awesome, I said. Grover said reluctantly, we don't have any money, ma'am. Before I could jab him in the ribs, Aunty M said, No, children, no money. This is a special case, yes. It is my treat for such nice orphans. Thank you, ma'am, Annabeth said. Aunty M stiffened, as if Annabeth had done something wrong. But then the old woman relaxed just as quickly, so I figured it must have been my imagination. Quite all right, Annabeth, she said. You have such beautiful gray eyes, child. Only later did I wonder how she knew Annabeth's name, even though we had never introduced ourselves. Our hostess disappeared behind the snack counter and started cooking. Before we knew it, she brought us plastic trays heaped with double cheeseburgers, vanilla shakes, and double X servings of French fries. I was halfway through my burger before I remembered to breathe. Annabeth slurped her shake. Grover picked at the fries and eyed the tray's wax paper liner as if he might go for that too. But he still looked too nervous to eat. "What's that hissing noise?" he asked. I listened but didn't hear anything. Annabeth shook her head. "Hissing?" Aunty M asked. "Perhaps you hear the deep fryer oil. You have keen ears, Grover." "I take vitamins for my ears." "That's admirable," she said, "but please relax." Aunty M ate nothing. She hadn't taken off her headdress even to cook, and now she sat forward, interlaced her fingers, and watched us eat. It was a little unsettling having someone stare at me when I couldn't see her face, but I was feeling satisfied after the burger and a little sleepy, and I figured the least I could do was try to make small talk with our hostess. "So, you sell gnomes?" I said, trying to sound interested. "Oh, yes," Aunty M said, "and animals and people. Anything for the garden. Custom orders. Statuary is very popular, you know." "A lot of business on this road?" "Not so much, no. Since the highway was built, most cars, they do not go this way now. I must cherish every customer I get." My neck tingled, as if somebody else was looking at me. I turned, but it was just a statue of a young girl holding an Easter basket. The detail was incredible, much better than you see in most garden statues. But something was wrong with her face. It looked as if she was startled, or even terrified. "Ah," Aunty M said sadly, "you notice some of my creatures do not turn out well. They are marred. They do not sell. The face is the hardest to get right. Always the face." "You make these statues yourself?" I asked. "Oh, yes. Once upon a time I had 2 sisters to help me in the business, but they have passed on, and Aunty M is alone. I only have my statues. This is why I make them, you see. They are my company." The sadness in her voice sounded so deep and so real that I couldn't help feeling sorry for her. Annabeth had stopped eating. She sat forward and said, "2 sisters?" "It's a terrible story," Aunty M said. "Not one for children, really. You see, Annabeth, a bad woman was jealous of me long ago when I was young. I had a boyfriend, you know, and this bad woman was determined to break us apart. She caused a terrible accident. My sisters stayed by me. They shared my bad fortune as long as they could, but eventually they passed on. They faded away. I alone have survived, but at a price, such a price." I wasn't sure what she meant, but I felt bad for her. My eyelids kept getting heavier. My full stomach made me sleepy. Poor old lady. Who would want to hurt somebody so nice? "Percy?" Annabeth was shaking me to get my attention. "Maybe we should go. I mean, the ringmaster will be wanting." She sounded tense. I wasn't sure why. Grover was eating wax paper off the tray now, but if Aunty M found that strange, she didn't say anything. "Such beautiful gray eyes," Aunty M told Annabeth again. "My, yes, it's been a long time since I've seen gray eyes like those." She reached out as if to stroke Annabeth's cheek, but Annabeth stood up abruptly. "We really should go." "Yes." Grover swallowed his wax paper and stood up. "The ringmaster is waiting." "Right." I didn't want to leave. I felt full and content. Aunty M was so nice. I wanted to stay with her a while. "Please, dears," Aunty M pleaded. "I so rarely get to be with children. Before you go, won't you at least sit for a pose?" "A pose?" Annabeth said wearily. "A photograph. I will use it to model a new statue set. Children are so popular, you see. Everyone loves children." Annabeth shifted her weight from foot to foot. "I don't think we can, ma'am. Come on, Percy." "Sure we can," I said. I was irritated with Annabeth for being so bossy, so rude to an old lady who just fed us for free. "It's just a photo, Annabeth. What's the harm?" "Yes, Annabeth," the woman purred. "No harm." I could tell Annabeth didn't like it, but she allowed Aunty M to lead us back out the front door into the garden of statues. Aunty M directed us to a park bench next to the stone satire. "Now," she said, "I'll position you correctly. The young girl in the middle, I think, and the 2 young gentlemen on either side." "Not much light for a photo," I remarked. "Oh, enough," Aunty M said. "Enough for us to see each other, yes." "Where's your camera?" Grover asked. Aunty M stepped back as if to admire the shot. Now the face is the most difficult. Can you smile for me, please, everyone? A large smile. Grover glanced at the cement satire next to him and mumbled, "That sure does look like Uncle Ferdinand." "Grover," Aunty M chastised. "Look this way, dear." She still had no camera in her hands. "Percy," Annabeth said. Some instinct warned me to listen to Annabeth, but I was still fighting the sleepy feeling, the uncomfortable lull that came from the food and the old lady's voice. "I'll just be a moment," Aunty M said. "You know, I can't see you very well with this cursed veil." "Percy, something's wrong," Annabeth insisted. "Wrong?" Aunty M said, reaching up to undo the wrap around her head. "Not at all, dear. I have such noble company tonight. What could be wrong?" "That is Uncle Ferdinand!" Grover gasped. "Look away from her!" Annabeth shouted. She whipped her Yankees cap onto her head and vanished. Her invisible hands pushed Grover and me off the bench. I was on the ground looking at Aunty M's sandaled feet. I could hear Grover scrambling off in one direction, Annabeth in another, but I was too dazed to move. Then I heard a strange, rasping sound above me. My eyes rose to Aunty M's hands, which had turned into gnarled and warty, with sharp bronze talons for fingernails. I almost looked higher, but somewhere off to my left, Annabeth screamed, "No, don't!" More rasping, the sound of tiny snakes right above me, from where Aunty M's head would be. "Run!" Grover bleated. I heard him racing across the gravel yelling, "Maya!" to kickstart his flying sneakers. I couldn't move. I stared at Aunty M's gnarled claws and tried to fight the groggy trance the old woman had put me in. "Such a pity to destroy a handsome young face," she told me soothingly. "Stay with me, Percy. All you have to do is look up." I fought the urge to obey. Instead, I looked to one side and saw one of those glass spheres people put in gardens, a gazing ball. I could see Aunty M's dark reflection in the orange glass. Her headdress was gone, revealing her face as a pale or shimmering pale circle. Her hair was moving, writhing like serpents. Aunty M. Aunty M. We're going to pause there for today. I wonder what the M stands for. What do you think? We'll have to wait and find out on Wednesday. Bye.